So becoming a single dad, and I listen, be clear, I was a part-time single dad because I was a single dad half the time, right? I had my kids half the time, like a week on, week off. It's interesting the thought processes with other people because I didn't change as a person. It's sort of like when people talk about becoming a star suddenly, and they, everybody, they haven't changed, but everybody's perception of them has changed. The same thing happens when you become a single dad, well, in my case, 50% of the time, because suddenly there's this weird, are you able to be a dad perception out there that no one has ever asked me before. So I was a dad for 9 years, almost 10, and then I got separated and subsequently divorced, and suddenly I had to prove myself. I still remember going to court the first time, and the judge basically saying, well, you have to be able to prove that you're able to, take care of these kids. And I said, but I've been a parent for 9 years. Well, I don't have to prove anything. Like, I'm already a parent. I've been a 50% parent. I'm a hands-on dad. I want to be a dad. I'm here. I'm active. I get up. I do all the, the nighttime stuff and the feedings and the bathing. I do it all. And interestingly enough, and I still remember the look that on the judge's face sort of was, well, you need to prove to me that you're able to do this job. And I was kind of horrified at the thought that I had to prove that I could do it when I'd already been doing it for such a long time. 9 years is a while. It's almost a decade. And it just sort of, it blew my mind that I had to prove that I could be a dad now. And the weird part about that is, so when you're married, and you have a wife, and you have a kid, well, you're 100% able to be a dad. Nobody's going to question that. You're just able to do it. But as soon as you're not married anymore, the thought process, and this is a while ago now, this is 10 years ago, is that, well, you can't do that. You're a dad. And I remember thinking in court and subsequently in interactions with people I knew, why would you possibly think that I can't? Like, I've been doing this the whole time. But I think one of the best cases of it was I went to the grocery store. I didn't have my kids that week. And I ran into somebody I knew when I was married. We used to, socially be around each other. She's a very bright woman, very progressive. Her husband's very hands-on with her kids. And I still remember her saying to me, she said, "Oh, it's great to see you." I said, "Oh, good to see you too." She didn't have her husband or her kids with her. And she said to me, "So how do you see the kids?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, of course." And she said, "So you have them every second weekend for a couple days, huh?" And I remember the anger in me, and I certainly hope I didn't allow it to get out, because I just was in a rage, because her thought obviously was, that I was this part-time, every second weekend for 2 days dad, because I couldn't handle anything else. And this is coming from a very bright, super educated woman whose own husband is very hands-on. And I said, no, I have them a week on, week off. So this is the week I don't have them, but then I have them come Thursday, I'll have them for the full week. And she's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I?" She goes, "Well, I just assumed that you'd be, every second weekend for a couple of days." And I all my angry retorts and the stuff that I wanted to say, I didn't. And I said goodbye to her after we finished talking, and I went out to the car. And when I got in the car, I realized it's not that she was trying to insult me, because I had taken it as this huge insult, right? This was an enormous insult. Like, how dare you say that I can't do this? I'm a parent. I can 100% do this. I realized it wasn't her fault, because here's a highly educated, extremely bright woman whose own husband is highly educated, extremely bright, and very hands-on with her kids. And she's not the type of person that would ever, be in a relationship with a guy who's like, "I'm going to watch TV while you do all the the housework. That's not who she is as a person, which is, great. She and her husband are really nice people. I realize that socially, like, we have become, our thought process goes, well, when a man and a woman are together and they get divorced, well, that means it's done, and the woman is going to take on all the child rearing work, and the man is going to be sort of this part-time fun dad who doesn't do anything, every second weekend for 2 days. And that is, really, really sad. I mean, it's really sad. It's also incredibly sexist. I mean, it to me is akin to saying, a woman should be in the house doing housework. I don't believe that. Like, my wife owns her own business. She's very capable, very bright. We split things basically 50-50 because that is, to me, what a relationship is. This is not the 50s. I'm not coming home going, where's my supper? You know what I mean? We both cook, we both clean, all those things. So that is my thought process on what a relationship is. But somehow as a society, we've got to the point where we think that when people get divorced, then the guy just goes, I'm out. And that's really a sad state of events to assume that, because it's incredibly sexist. Because there's, I do hope there's a lot of people like me who want to be hands-on. They became a dad because they want to be a dad. They didn't become a dad because it happened to them or was forced on them. And, you love the fact that you are a parent and you want to be a parent. You want to be the best parent you can be for your kids. And when you make mistakes, you beat yourself up. And I think there's a universality of being a parent, male and female, where we really want to, for the most part, try really, really hard and do our best for our children. And it amazes me that we still have sort of this antiquated view now. It still lasts of people saying, well, for lack of a better term, when you're a male, you couldn't possibly do that because you have a penis. That doesn't make any sense. And it's funny, I think back on that moment at Sobeys lots of times. And I look at, my own personal, my relationship with my wife and how we split everything. And I think, I hope that should be what, my kids see as this is what you do in a relationship. You do your best, you do half the housework, you do half the work, you do the child rearing, you do all of it. That's what I would want to do. Now, it doesn't make it easy, right? I mean, it means that everybody's exhausted. But the reason we are in this boat is because we have two parents that work, and there's no reason we should assume that a woman should do all of the housework in the house and the man should sit and put his feet up and watch sports. That's stupid. Just like it would be dumb to think the other direction. If the woman sits down and watches, whatever on television and the guy does all the housework, well, that would be sexist too. But it's funny how sometimes deeply ingrained, basically sexist thought processes still are there. It still amazes me. And I still think back on that moment in Sobeys and that moment with the judge lots of times. And I think, wow, like that's not a long time ago. The time with the judge was about 10, 11 years ago. And the time in Sobeys was about 6 years ago. It's not a long time. But and not from stupid people. These aren't from unintelligent people. They're from people who, for lack of a better term, they're very bright. They're very capable. Obviously, one's a judge. The lady in question is a psychologist. They know. But that's how deeply seated this thought process of men can't be. They can be a dad, but they can't be a father, or whichever way you want to go with it. They can't actually child rear. They can't do that part. And it's a shame that it's still there. I certainly hope that this is something that in the future no one else will go through. Because, I wouldn't want another guy or woman to go through that thought process of you're divorced now or you're separated now. Well, you couldn't possibly take care of those kids. Well, that's silly. Anyway, that's where I was with that. It's a shame. It's weird. But it is something I think about quite often, and I wonder, as time goes on and my kids get older, hopefully those thoughts will move on, and that won't be something, or maybe it will. But I just wonder where it would come from, the thought that, you can't do it because of your sex. It's weird.